Hi there. As we consider a little bit further these verses in Philippians 2, 12 to 18, in our further food for thought, I want to encourage you, either as an individual or if you're connecting with your life group, as a life group, to take some time to process and discuss three particular questions and areas from these verses. The first one is around outworking your salvation. I talked about the fact that probably a better translation is not to how we work out our salvation with fear and trembling, but how we outwork our salvation with fear and trembling. That sense of awe and responsibility that we've been entrusted with, that our salvation is not just for ourselves, but it's the start of a work which God wants to work in us and through us. So how do we now outwork that? Question I'd like to ask you to think about, process, discuss. What does it look like for you to outwork your salvation? What's involved in that? How do you, as it were, partner with the God who loves you and gave himself for you, not for your salvation, but so that you can step into all that God's created you to be, to step into the good works that he's prepared for you in advance? What does it look like for you to do that in an effective way? What does it look like for you to partner with him and, as it were, allow him to outwork his purposes through you? So that's the first question. Second thing I'd like to encourage you to think about is, why does Paul specifically focus on this issue of grumbling and arguing? He seems to make a big thing of that. He talks very specifically about it and addresses it head on. So have a think about why you think that is. Talk that through a little bit. And then maybe just consider in what contexts and scenarios are you vulnerable to grumbling or arguing? Because this obviously is a big deal. It obviously is a big issue. If we're going to be the people God wants us to be, if we're going to live out our salvation, work out our salvation in the way he wants, then this is a key issue for us. What are the areas where you could be vulnerable? Maybe take some time to pray into that and support one another and pray for one another. And then thirdly, I'd like to suggest that you take some time to share examples of where you've seen people shine like stars. You were created to shine. I was created to shine. We were made to shine. We weren't meant to fit in. We're meant to stand out. And so sometimes we can see that happening in others more easily than we can see it happening in ourselves. So I would start with that question. Where are there examples? Who can you think of where you've seen them really stand out and shine in different contexts? And then, having started there, maybe ask the question, in what ways have you personally got opportunity to shine at the moment? He wants to use you to shine. Our light is not meant to be hidden under a bowl. Instead, it's meant to be put on a stand so it can give light to everyone in the house. And we, as God's people, are meant to shine in this world. In what ways have you got opportunity in this season to shine? I pray that as you process and you discuss, God will give you revelation. You'll be able to encourage one another. You'll, as it were, be able to prophesy into one another's lives, because sometimes we need to encourage one another in terms of the way he wants to use us and the things he can do through us. And I trust that as we process and dig a little bit deeper in these verses, and as we talk together, the life of God and the revelation of God will come. And we won't just be affected in our heads and in our hearts, but in the way that we live. And therefore the world will be affected too. God bless.